Facing an unusual proposal. Should sexual compatibility be tested before starting a serious relationship? Hi, everyone. I'm seeking some input on a situation I've encountered. I recently went on a first date with someone, and while we seemed to connect well, something he mentioned has left me feeling uncertain. He suggested that on our second date, we should engage in intimacy as a way to test our sexual compatibility before deciding whether to move forward into a serious relationship. He was very open about his reasoning, explaining that he had experienced a sexless marriage in the past, as well as some unfulfilling relationships afterward. For him, ensuring sexual compatibility early on seems to be a priority. While I do appreciate his honesty, I find it a bit surprising, especially because he presents himself as a decent person who says he's genuinely looking for a serious, meaningful relationship. To be fair, I can see where he's coming from. I've had relationships in the past where I wasn't sexually satisfied, which ultimately led to breakups. So, I understand why this might be important to him. At the same time, some of my friends think his proposal is unusual or even inappropriate. I'm physically attracted to him, and I don't doubt that he's sincere, but I'm unsure if this approach aligns with my values or expectations. I'd really like to hear your thoughts on this. Is his perspective reasonable, or does it raise red flags? How would you handle such a situation? But what's really been weighing on me happened recently. I'll admit that I crossed a line. I went through my wife's phone. I know it was wrong, and I'm not proud of it. But what I found has left me reeling. In a text exchange with him, my wife had written, "I told him that if the timing had been right, we'd be together without hesitation." And he responded, "You're right," with a laughing emoji. Seeing those words felt like a punch to the gut. My wife didn't just repeat what I had always tried to dismiss as a throwaway comment from years ago. She doubled down on it and confirmed it to him. I haven't confronted her yet, partly because I don't know how to start that conversation, and partly because I'm afraid of admitting that I looked through her phone. I love my wife, and I don't want to make any rash decisions or blow things out of proportion. But this situation has shaken me deeply. I'm struggling with feelings of betrayal and insecurity, and I don't know how to handle them. Am I overreacting? How should I approach this with her? And how can I process the pain and doubt that have surfaced? I'd really appreciate any advice or insight from those who've faced similar situations, or from anyone who can offer some wisdom. Thank you for listening.
Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. So this week, we're tackling a dating dilemma.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I love these.
It's juicy, our listener is saying, that she went on this date.
Okay.
And it seemed like a really good date.
First date magic.
Yeah, first date magic, total connection. But
Yeah.
then the guy kind of threw a curveball.
What happened?
He suggested that on the second date, they should get intimate to see if they're compatible.
Interesting approach.
Right. And to be fair to the guy, he was like really upfront about his reasons.
Okay.
He's coming out of a sexless marriage. He said he's had other relationships that like fizzled out
Yeah.
because the spark wasn't there.
So he's trying to be proactive, I guess.
Trying to avoid those past mistakes.
Makes sense in a way.
But it's definitely like an interesting way to go about it.
And I think it speaks to this like growing trend of people really trying to prioritize sexual compatibility, which I think on the surface makes sense. You know, we want to have good chemistry with our partners.
And it is something that you've talked about before in terms of, your own relationships.
Absolutely. I've definitely had relationships end because of sexual incompatibility, and it's tough.
Yeah, so it is
a
valid concern.
For sure, but I think when we talk about compatibility, we need to remember that it's multifaceted, right? So yes, sexual compatibility is a part of it, but we also have to consider intellectual compatibility.
Right.
Are you connecting on an intellectual level?
Do you like talking to each other?
Exactly. Can you hold a conversation? Do you find each other interesting?
Yeah.
And then there's emotional compatibility.
That's a big one.
Huge. Can you be vulnerable with each other? Can you share your feelings? Can you support each other through difficult times?
So are you saying that, like, this guy?
Yeah.
Jumping to this idea of, like, the physical so quickly is maybe, like, a way to almost avoid?
It's possible, yeah. I mean, it could be a way to bypass some of that emotional intimacy.
Right, because you're not
Yeah.
getting to know the person.
Exactly. You're not building that foundation of trust. And understand
And some of our listeners' friends
yeah.
are saying, this is a huge red flag.
Yeah, I can see why they would say that. It's definitely something to be cautious about.
Yeah. And how much do you think societal expectations
Ooh, that's a good point. I mean,
play a role in that?
absolutely. We get so many messages about how we're supposed to date, especially as women.
Right.
There's this pressure to, be open to physical intimacy early
I
on.
don't want to seem too
Mm,
prudish
right, exactly.
or like uptight, but you have to remember, you get to make your own rules.
Absolutely. You get to decide what feels right for you.
And I think it's interesting to think about, like, if the genders were reversed here,
Ooh, interesting. Okay, I like this.
would we be having a different conversation?
I think so. I think there are definitely different expectations and assumptions based on gender.
So how do you navigate this? As a woman who's being told, let's just jump into bed and see how it goes.
Right. Well, first of all, I would say it's great that he's being honest about what he wants, but honesty doesn't automatically equal compatibility or respect for your boundaries.
So what would you recommend our listeners say?
You could try something like, I appreciate you being so open about what you're looking for, but for me, I really like to build a connection before getting physical.
Yeah?
So I'm really enjoying getting to know you, and I'd love to see where things go.
That's great, because you're acknowledging his feelings.
Exactly. But you're also being clear about your own needs and boundaries.
And if he freaks out, that's probably a sign
Yeah, that could be a red flag.
that he's not the right guy.
Right. It's all about finding someone who respects you and values you.
For all of you.
Exactly. Not just one aspect.
It shouldn't just be about.
The physical.
Right. You deserve a relationship that feels good on all levels, intellectual, emotional, and physical.
So, listener, as you move forward, think about what really matters to you in a relationship.
Yeah. What are your non-negotiables? Yeah. And how can you communicate those effectively?
Because communication is key in any relationship.
Dating should be fun.
It should be. It should be exciting.
It shouldn't be a source of stress.
Absolutely not. If it's stressful, something's not right.
Exactly. And most importantly, trust your gut.
Always trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is.
Your feelings are valid.
Like that.
And you have the right to make choices that align with your values.
100%.
So we're here to support you, listener, every step of the way.
You got this.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us. We'll see you next time.
Bye.